freedom protest. Steve Bannon did not cover the freedom protest. If you had, I've been there. I was there. It was totally peaceful from beginning to end. And it's not stopping. They're suing people for $400 million. That's very real. That's very real. But President Trump has to come out and specify if they want to join the U.S., we will take them. No frilling around, okay? Because if he takes Alberta, Canada will collapse. I've been doing podcasting since 2016. I predicted this since 2016. I knew what was coming. I have a very good friend who's moved to Florida. I ran a riding for a candidate for the PPC, and I'm not an idiot. I know what I'm doing.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning, and welcome to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It's Monday, January 19th, 2026. Time for the morning rundown, which is brought to you every day at this time by our friends at the Clock Store. Clockstore.com, located just a few miles from the airport, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So here we go. Here's a morning rundown for Monday, January 19th, 2026. Number one, crazy leftists invade a Minnesota Baptist church. It was actually in St. Paul, Minnesota, part of the Twin Cities, during Sunday services. That invasion violated a federal law called the SAFE Act, as well as the First Amendment religious liberties of all of those there. This is a church that had been there for years and years and years. They claimed that one of the pastors was affiliated with ICE in some way, but they didn't have any hard proof of that. Number two, Donald Trump put 10% tariffs on European countries who oppose our takeover of Greenland. Predictably, they whined. But as Stephen Miller says, if you can't defend your country, you don't have a right to it. We'll see. Number three, leftists were busy assaulting not just churchgoers in Minneapolis. They were grabbing people off the streets, grabbing people out of their cars. How about that? Yeah, it's not going to end well. Number four, Mike Rowe. You know Mike Rowe. Jobs, he says, are not in coding anymore. The coding jobs are all going to be taken over by AI, artificial intelligence. Now, it's the trades. It's the welders, the electricians, the plumbers, the HVAC guys. Those are the ones that are going to have jobs. Makes sense to me. Number five, Mark Pulliam, author of Misrule of Law, will join us in hour two of the program today. He'll talk about what the craziness in Minneapolis, some SCOTUS rulings, and I think he's got a few funny stories as well. Number six, J.B. Pritzker. What does Sean Farash call him? Yeah, Jelly Belly? Yeah, Jelly Belly Pritzker. The governor of Illinois, the leftist, has just signed a Clean Slate Act, which says if you're a criminal, we're going to expunge all of your criminal acts and you go off and do more crimes. And number seven, we'll be joined here in studio, on our Zoom line. Well, we'll get him here in studio someday by our great reporter, Tom Pappert. A couple of Tennessee stories of note. There's a hacker here in Tennessee who was arrested. He was hacking the Supreme Court documents. Yeah. I wonder if he had anything to do with the leak in the Dobbs decision. I don't know. We'll find out. So Tom will join us at the bottom of this hour. So there you go. There's the morning rundown, brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com. This is where I get to talk to you about my friend Lenny McGill and the Glock Store. You've been hearing me talk about how the Glock Store is everything Glock. Well, that's why Lenny called it the Glock Store. Have you heard about the latest Glocks, the Gen 6 Glocks? Lenny tells me the new Gen 6 Glocks have a new optic system, RTF6 texturing, an enlarged beaver tail, flat face trigger, trigger guard undercut, and an integrated thumb rest, also known as the gas pedal. Well, to be honest, I don't know what that means, but Lenny does. In fact, Lenny tells me the Gen 6 Glocks are definitely the most refined Glocks ever produced. As you might expect, the Glock Store has already received their first shipment of Gen 6 G17s, 19s, and 45s, and they were literally gone before they even arrived at the warehouse. That's because Glock Store is letting you pre-order these new Glocks, so you will be the first one to get your hands on one. And as a thank you for your pre-order, you'll get an extra magazine when you receive your new Gen 6 Glock. Here's what you do. Go to glockstore.com, click on the Gen 6 tab at the top of the website, place your pre-order for the Glock or Glocks of your choice. When they ship your new Glock to the FFL of your choice, or you pick it up at the Glock Store retail showroom here in Nashville, the Glock Store will throw in an extra magazine. This is a limited time offer only for pre-orders and only from my friends at the Glock Store. It is the #1 source for Glock parts, accessories, and the new Gen 6 Glocks. Visit glockstore.com today. I promise you'll be glad you did. Well, let's go to the craziness, and I mean anti-American craziness going on in Minneapolis. We have so many clips. Usually we put together 20 clips for the show. I've got 30 and counting. And we could probably have done 50 clips of all this craziness. Let me play this one right now. Here's a pastor in Minnesota, Paul Chappell, condemning the invasion of a church, a Baptist church in St. Paul, Minnesota, while services were going on. Clip 17.
Today in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a group of activists led by Don Lemon stormed a Baptist church by the name of Cities Church during their worship time. They were screaming and chanting, disrupting the singing and the preaching because they suspected an ICE officer may attend the church. This is a violation of what is known as the FACE Act, and not only do we condemn this act, but tonight I want to demand that the Department of Justice investigate what took place in Minneapolis, apprehend those who broke the law, and arrest them accordingly.
Okay, this is a good idea. And of course, the FACE Act? It was invoked by the Biden Department of Justice here in Tennessee. There are about 12 people who were praying outside an abortion clinic, and they were all convicted, and they got like 10 years in prison. Right here in Tennessee, I think it was Mount Juliet. They were just praying outside an abortion clinic under the FACE Act. Well, guess what? Don Lemon and I don't know, there were like 60 of these protesters. Clearly, not only did they violate the FACE Act, they violated the First Amendment rights of the churchgoers for freedom of religion. Here's Don Lemon interrogating the church pastor here. Clip 28.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
Yeah.
We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much.
So Don Lemon was there, and we've got more of Don Lemon, but notice he misunderstands and misstates the Constitution. There is a First Amendment right to peaceably assemble, but there's also a First Amendment to freedom of religion. And so they were not peaceably assembling. They were invading a church service, violating the First Amendment rights of everyone there, including young mothers with children who were intimidated by these leftists who knew if they had any were going to attack them. They were very, very aggressive, and it's just not good. Let's play this clip 26 of watching them storm in. So there they are, and they're yelling. They're nutcases. There are about 60 of them. I don't think in the clips that we saw, I think a lot of the people left. There were maybe about that many in the congregation, but it's ridiculous. You cannot invade a church and while it's in services because you're violating the federal statute, the FACE Act, and you're violating the First Amendment rights of those there. We'll have more when we get back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Stick around.
Including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.99, Kings only $1 more. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pouty. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pouty.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pouty, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Our phone number is 615-814-2848. 615-814-2848. If you'd like to call in and chat with us today. Also, you can watch us on, go to X, my feed on X at Michael P. Leahy, also at the Tennessee Star, the TN Star. You can see the program. Also, it's on Roku, YouTube, Fire Stick, and Apple TV. Got to remember them all. We have to add Rumble. Keep talking about adding Rumble. We will at some point in the near future. All right, 615-814-2848. You remember the drill. 3 things. 1, your name. 2, your state of residence. And 3, your topic. Well, the topic now is going to be the craziness in Minneapolis. By the way, there is a very weird phenomenon that I want to talk about, which is the changes in media that have happened in the past couple of years. Yes, there are more conservative media outlets, but it's highly fragmented, and some that purport to be conservative are just nutcases. You know who they are. I won't say their names, but there are some that are just off the charts. So there's more options, but the regime media, CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, etc., NPR, PBS, they all are still very actively promoting, a dishonest view of the world. Let me give you an example. This morning, because I didn't have a chalkboard to scratch my fingernails across, I decided it would be a good idea just to see what the other side was doing. So I listened to NPR for a bit this morning. And here's what they had to say about the riots in Minneapolis over the weekend and the attack on the church. Minneapolis was quiet over the weekend. That was what NPR said. Not a mention of the invasion of the church by these crazy leftist attackers, the City's Church in St. Paul. That gives you an example. Meanwhile, obviously, you go to Fox News and it's all featured right there. Now, we talk about irony here a lot. Here's some irony for you. The Looney Tune, jazz hands, leftist, progressive, China-loving governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, just about a week ago, had this warning about what ICE agents, he said, would do. Let's play this clip right now, clip 11.
So I would fully expect, and we are preparing for, an influx of more agents, more of the very visible public theatrics of the raids, of the harassments, and you got faith leaders here. I would not put it past this administration to target midnight mass services amongst folks going to worship, because that's who they are.
Okay, so this is the whole trick. If you're a progressive, Thomas Jefferson would look at these guys and say, you guys are absolutely nuts. Andrew Jackson would say, you guys are nuts. But they project what they are going to do on their opponents. And that's exactly what he did. Oh, I might go to a midnight mass. No. All your buddies in the progressive left attacked a Baptist church in services and scared the tar out of young moms and kids. And you saw the kids cowering. What's going on, Mom? Yeah. And by the way, we've got this crazy leftist who is yelling at church. This is a leftist, by the way, who was arrested the prior day for obstruction of an ICE operation, and they put him in, they let him out. And he was emboldened to go and do this kind of verbal assault on the people in the church yesterday, City's Church in St. Paul. Here we go, clip 30.
As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't. Don't be
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame.
Okay, this guy, he goes on and on. But so this is a church service, which is protected under the First Amendment, protected by the FACE Act. This guy aggressively goes into the church and says, touch me again and see what happens. Touch me again and see what happens. Actually, technically, that statement is assault. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Everybody knew this was about to happen. Where was the Minneapolis Police Department? They let it happen. They were well aware of it. I'll tell you, Don Lemon was also well aware of it. This is interesting because this probably, I think he should be investigated for an interstate crime of inciting this attack on the church because I think he lives in New York. He flew to Minneapolis, landed, just happened to go there and happened to talk to the woman who was leading the attack. Here is that interview right now, clip 29.
Tell us why you're doing this.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there, and then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now.
Okay, that woman he interviewed is a BLM organizer, a former head of the NAACP, according to some reports. And basically, we go in to a key point and we disrupt business as usual. Key point? I mean, their claim is, I looked at the website of this church, City Church. They've got like a lead pastor and 6 other pastors. And they claim that one of the pastors there was, I think the guy's name David Easterwood, I think. And they claim he was also an ICE agent. And that was their justification for disrupting the church services there. Well, it wasn't verified. It doesn't matter whether it's verified or not. They are violating a federal statute. And Don Lemon was probably also violating a federal statute. Was he going across interstate lines to help incite a riot? Looks like to me. So what we have is an abandonment of the rule of law by law enforcement in Minneapolis. Mayor Frey is like encouraging them to protest and riot and deprive everyday citizens of their rights. The mob is out of control, and Minneapolis police and Minnesota State Police are doing nothing to stop it. Here's a clip of leftists who went in and forced a man who was wearing an American flag shirt to take it off, or else we'll beat you up, basically. Here we go. Let's play that clip. Clip 25. This is a mob of, what, 20 people chasing one guy. Take off your shirt with an American flag, and you won't get hurt. And he's looking around. They're going to beat the tar out of this guy. And he's taking his shirt. He takes it off. He's walking away from them. He's taking it off. It's just crazy. Okay, other craziness. So this mob in Minneapolis is looking for other normal people to attack. And so there's a car that stops. Somehow they believe that there is a conservative in the car. And they try to drag the conservative out of the car. Yeah, I kid you not. Let's play this. Clip 24.
That's him!
Now the car stopped.
Is that him? Is that him?
Is that him? See?
Open the door!
They've opened the door. They're trying to drag somebody out of the car. They want to beat him up. It's a mob surrounding the car.
Stop! Wait, let them go! Let them go! Hey, pull over!
They're at a stop sign, and somehow the car gets away from this. But they're trying to drag him out and kill him. I don't know, like beat him up. Just because they think he's a conservative. This is out of control. There's no law there. Okay, we got one other of these attacks, which NPR says was a quiet weekend. No, it wasn't. An out-of-control mob was trying to intimidate, beat up anybody that didn't say, we hate ICE. Clip 21, a bunch of software engineers were at a restaurant, and they surrounded them. Let's play the clip right now.
This is so cool. So cool as it like that.
There's a mob out there.
This has got to be the funniest thing I've ever seen. I know, it's like you feel like a zoo.
Got the clip. Won't let him out. And apparently they want to have him say, bad words about ICE to let him go. It's crazy. All right, there you go. We could go on for a long time. Right now, the president could easily invoke the Insurrection Act because there is no law and order in Minneapolis. The mob is wild. If you're a conservative or a normal person, somebody's going to come and try and attack you unless you, say bad things about ICE. All right. When we come back, Tom Pappert, there's a hacker in Tennessee that went after the Supreme Court. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
It's simple. No worker should ever be forced to pay money to a union boss just to get or keep a job. That's why hardworking Virginians overwhelmingly support Right to Work and agree that forced unionism is wrong. Unfortunately, Right to Work is under threat from radical state legislators who seek to overturn Right to Work and grant union bosses the power to have workers fired for refusing to pay union dues. Studies show that if they succeed in repealing Virginia's Right to Work law, it would cost the Commonwealth over 200,000 jobs. That's why it's vital to tell your legislators and Governor Abigail Spanberger to defend Right to Work in Virginia. With the General Assembly now in session, it's vital you make your voice heard today. Go to VirginiaRightToWork.com and demand your legislators and Governor Spanberger oppose forced unionism and protect Right to Work. Defend freedom and Virginia jobs today. Sign your petition at virginiarighttowork.com, paid for by the National Right to Work Committee.
Is your pet ready for some possum fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are joined on our Zoom newsmaker line right now by our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and Star News Network, winner of the Dow Prize for the best local journalism in the country, along with yours truly, and our executive editor, Christina Boteri, the one, the only, Tom Pappard. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Michael.
We'll get to the craziness in Minneapolis in our next segment, but right now, some Tennessee stories I want to talk about. One story in particular has to do with a kind of a crazy hacker story. Give us the details. It's at TennesseeStar.com. I saw this and I thought, well, I'll tell you what I thought. But give us the details about this hacker who got into the Supreme Court document system. Who was he? How did they find him? And what did he hack?
Michael, it's very interesting. It seemed like every other week during the Biden administration, we were hearing about hacks on government agencies, federal government, state government, energy companies, healthcare companies, insurance companies. Everybody seemed to be victim to hackers during the Biden years. And now the Department of Justice is figuring out who committed these hacks. So a hacker actually pleaded guilty this week. He's from Tennessee. His name is Nicholas Moore, 24 years old, from Springfield, Tennessee, and he was accused by the Department of Justice of hacking the U.S. Supreme Court electronic filing system, the Veterans Affairs healthcare system that for veterans to access to keep track of their medications, and the AmeriCorps system. So he was going all over the internet, hacking into federal databases using stolen account credentials. And then, Michael, my favorite part of the story, this enterprising young Tennessean had a social media account on Instagram. He would upload screenshots from his hacked materials to an account called @IHackedTheGovernment.
Springfield is in Middle Tennessee. It's a county seat of Robertson County. So this guy's from right around here. What do we know about him? I mean, he's young.
Well, very little has been said. He is young. He would have been about 21, 22 years old when he was doing this. It seems to me that this information was likely purchased, given to him by some source. The indictment focused more about his social media history and the victimhood or how he victimized the people whose credentials he'd gotten a hold of. But it seems to be that he is just a young man, ostensibly no longer college age, from Middle Tennessee, who I think got his hands on some information he wasn't supposed to, probably via the dark web, and thought it would make him famous on social media.
So here's something about this, Tom. He engaged in this activity from, I think it was August to October of 2023. It's a little over a year after the June 2022 Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization decision that basically overturned Roe v. Wade on abortion. My initial thought was, well, was this guy involved in the Dobbs leak? The timing isn't quite right.
It's not quite right, but I had the same thought, Michael. And I think what this really could expose is during the Biden years, especially when technology was moving a mile a minute with the emergence of AI, were they stuck in the last century? And was it, if this guy is able to just use somebody's login and password, apparently there's no authentication, third-party app type software. There's no geofencing saying, hey, this guy's in Tennessee. The guy who owns the account is based in Washington, D.C. What's going on here? All of these security things that exist like for your Amazon account apparently didn't exist. I wonder if it wasn't, however this person was able to steal the information that he stole, if that Supreme Court decision wasn't retrieved through similar methods.
The Department of Justice also claimed that Moore, this guy's, Nicholas Moore? Yeah, Nicholas Moore, right, age 24, obtained 2 sets of stolen account credentials for AmeriCorps. That's like a teacher's, kids come out of college and teach in urban areas. Posted personal information from one of his victims to Instagram. I mean, that sounds like a little bit of a voyeurism thing. It additionally accused Moore of using login credentials stolen from a U.S. Marine Corps veteran and used it to access the veterans account on Department of Veterans Affairs portal. Huh. Okay. I mean, he's just kind of a voyeuristic kid, it looks like to me. Moore, according to the Department of Justice, pleaded guilty to 1 count of fraud in connection with computers and could face a sentence of up to 1 year in prison and a $100,000 fine when he is sentenced in April. I think this kid got off easy.
I think that puts it mildly. I think that he got off dramatically easy, and I think part of it is how quickly he pled. U.S. Attorney or Prosecutor Janine Pirro actually filed the charges on, I believe it was Tuesday of last week. The plea deal was announced on Friday. So this person, apparently he realized, quote unquote, hacking the government was not how do you get a social media following.
Janine Pirro, of course, is U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia. And obviously these databases are in the, District of Columbia. And so he won't be tried in Middle Tennessee Federal District Court. I tell you what I think is going on. So he's indicted and he rolls and he pleads guilty like 3 days after it. He's going to roll up. There's something else going on here. That's why I think the sentence is so low.
I think you could be onto something. And the tell is that this person does not seem as though they are very bright. They obtained some stolen information and they use that to access accounts and then post screenshots. Well, who provided them with the stolen information? I think we're going to find out. And I think maybe this guy's sentence will be a little lighter as a result.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. My guess would be that he's going to just tell him everything. And
probably already has. 24-year-old from Middle Tennessee, probably a nice kid, got him into a federal interview room. He probably said everything he could think of.
Yeah, and he could face a sentence of up to 1 year in prison and a $100,000 fine. It's a misdemeanor if it's up to 1 year in prison, right?
Right.
So, I mean, he'll get a fine. He may or may not have prison time, right? Depending on what the kid is and depending on how much he gives up. Because if he's just like a young hacker type who doesn't realize how serious this stuff is, he may be able to give up a lot more. What it tells me is that the Supreme Court files are not secure. That's what it tells me.
Yes, and apparently they didn't learn from the issue with the Supreme Court opinion, the ruling on Roe versus Wade. Apparently, a year later, they were still having issues to the point where some kid, a 22-year-old at the time, could just steal someone's information and log in without issue. And not only that, this was during a time, I mean, a month before this happened, or about 2 months before this happened, was when Fulton County, Georgia, was hacked, where President Trump was being prosecuted. They took control, these hackers that are allegedly associated with China took control of the state government. And a little bit before that, I believe it was the Biden administration, yes, took action against a Chinese group of hackers that was attacking the Treasury Department, the State Department, just going down a list of targets. So this is an issue that became very prominent during the Biden years. And I think you're going to be seeing more actions like this under the Trump administration to try to, one, slap some wrists, make sure it doesn't happen again from U.S. citizens, and two, keep it from happening.
You know, the Dobbs draft decision from the Supreme Court was leaked in March of 2022. It caused a big brouhaha. And what's interesting to me is at the time, I guess the U.S. Marshals are in charge of security at the Supreme Court. Chief Justice John Roberts said, "Oh, we're going to look into this." Well, they never found out who did it, supposedly. It's interesting because if you look at it, I'm not surprised that they never found out who did it. And it's because, I'll tell you why. It's because judges look at the world a little differently than people who deal with empirical evidence every day. And I think they were lax on it. I think they didn't follow up. I think they didn't do a thorough investigation, which means to me, and I put that on Chief Justice Roberts. I mean, he runs this deal. How could you have a leak of a major decision and not find out who did it? Come on. It doesn't sound right. But the bottom line is, it's an ongoing attack on the Supreme Court, and it's led by a bunch of leftists. This guy was just a little ant in the army, it seems to me. Final thoughts on this one?
Well, you know, I'm always the optimist, and I'm always one to give folks the benefit of the doubt. So it took them, 2 years and some change, maybe 18 months to get this case done. Maybe they're just still investigating at the Supreme Court law enforcement arm, and they're just turning over every stone, and they want to make sure they get the right guy.
No, they're putting it to bed. They're totally putting it to bed. We got a Memphis story. What's the latest on the number of arrests down in Memphis on the Memphis Safe Task Force?
So, Michael, the city of Memphis, of course, has its web portal. They update it every day with the latest arrests. And over the weekend, an important milestone was reached: 6,000 arrests since September 30th. That is the date the Memphis Safe Task Force deployed. What's interesting about this is there's been lots of questions about how are these folks going to be prosecuted, because there's a lot of allegations that the district attorney in Memphis, of course, just sort of slaps people on, doesn't even slap them on the wrist, lets them go with no bail, and then the charges get dropped at a later date. So we did some digging. About 1,700 of the 6,000 arrests I just mentioned are being prosecuted by Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy. But interestingly enough, the Department of Justice just reassigned 20 JAG attorneys, military attorneys. Yes, and I think that is going to mean a lot more federal prosecutions.
It's a tale of two cities on the Mississippi. One, Minneapolis, going crazy. The other, Memphis, because of that task force. Law and order is coming back. When we come back, Tom, your thoughts on the craziness in Minneapolis over the weekend. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. He's Tom Pappert. The website, TennesseeStar.com.
Each of us is born with 30 trillion cells that make us. These cells determine how we feel, perform, sleep, focus, and how long we live. And to live our best life, all we have to do is feed our cells properly. But most supplements don't reach our cells, keeping us from reaching our full potential. Make every cell count with Healthy Cell. Founded with a mission to empower people to take control of their own health at the most fundamental level, the cell. Dr. Vincent Gempapa, world-renowned cell researcher and medical doctor, created supplements that work at the cellular level to support immune health, better sleep, sharper focus, and healthy aging. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com, HEALTHYCELL, and use code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
These illegal skill games that keep popping up, fights break out, they're illegal, we got drugs, we got gangs, they're all over the place. How do you get illegal slot machines in convenience stores when Governor Youngkin, you vetoed it, and no referendum, nobody passed it? How are they still here?
At the end of the day, it is local Commonwealth's attorneys that have to bring the cases against the establishments and to get them out. And so, yes, I vetoed bills. The high court has said that they can't be there. And on top of that, our attorney general has done a full investigation. And we go back to our Commonwealth's attorneys in so many jurisdictions refuse to enforce the law. That's the bottom line. They protect the criminals at the expense of the victims. And that's why, again, elections matter. We have got to elect prosecutors who will put people in jail.
This ad paid for by Churchill Downs. What happens in Virginia doesn't stay in Virginia. It influences policy and policymakers nationwide. The VirginiaStar.com shines a light on the issues in VA that become issues for the USA, with insightful commentary that gets to the fact of the matter. The VirginiaStar.com is your source of wisdom and truth, locally, statewide, and nationally. Log on today and every day. The VirginiaStar.com. The VirginiaStar.com.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Tom Pappert, our lead political reporter, is with us. Hey, Tom, breaking news. I want to get this clip for you right now, get your reaction. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, has a reaction this morning to the invasion of the Baptist Church in St. Paul, Minnesota yesterday by a bunch of crazy leftists led by Don Lemon, asterisk. Okay, let's go with this clip right now.
Had a chance to chat with Attorney General Pam Bondi. You guys posted late last night that the Department of Justice and the Civil Rights Division, which you lead, will be looking into this incident to see if federal law was violated. What can you tell us?
Well, yeah, so the Attorney General has been on this from the moment it happened. I was actually in the air when she first reached out to me, and we immediately jumped on this. There are already 2 prosecutors from my office on their way to Minneapolis, and they'll be there this morning. We have an FBI team assembled and local prosecutors as well. This is going to get the highest attention from the Department of Justice because there is no more sacred right in our Constitution than the right to assemble and pray to God. And there are federal laws that protect that right. And what happened here was a shameful exercise of virtue signaling, disruption, fear, terror. You can see children in this video being ushered out the back by their terrorized mothers. And this is illegal. And I want to add, before people start spazzing about the First Amendment, that the Biden administration prosecuted people peacefully praying outside abortion clinics for much, much less. Prosecuted them under conspiracy statutes, under the Klan Act, which I also have jurisdiction over at the DOJ. And so the people who did this made a big, big mistake, whoever they are. We are investigating exactly who they are, who coordinated with them, who paid for it, and who was there. And this will be met with the full force of the United States Department of Justice, as the Attorney General has directed. And we discussed yesterday with the pastor, who was totally shaken. He was with his family. We want to make sure everyone felt safe. And there will be further legal action in coming days.
Okay, Tom Peppert, your reaction to that?
Harmeet Dillon is a breath of fresh air. She's had about an 85% staff turnover, which is a very good thing when you're going from the Biden to the Trump administration. And she is not the attorney to mess with. She's turned civil rights from an anti-Republican part of the Department of Justice. It existed to impose DEI and make Republicans' lives miserable. She's transformed it into a force for good. And I think that these radical protesters in Minneapolis have no idea what they've unleashed. This is how hubristic these people are. And this is somebody who claims to be there. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if it's an organizer. So I'm not ascribing guilt. But this is a post that was written to Facebook by a person who claimed to be there named Nakima Levy Armstrong. Friends, here's a clip of our demonstration this morning at City's Church in St. Paul. And she goes on to tag 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different people who attended this protest. So I think Harmeet Dillon is going to have her work quite literally cut out for her. This may be potentially the easiest prosecution her office handles throughout the Trump administration. And thank goodness she saw this. I must also say, what a rapid response. I remember I got home from church yesterday. I came home, looked at Twitter, looking for news stories to write in Tennessee, and I see this emerging breaking news happen. And within an hour, maybe two, Harmeet Dillon and the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division were, as she said, all over it. It is a massive relief to know that even when you've got these crazy people, we do have good people in government to confront them.
Well, Don Lemon and the woman you mentioned organized it. And at the beginning, there's Don Lemon talking to her about this. And so I think the ability to prosecute them for violating the FACE Act and other federal statutes is very high. They are not only hubristic, I love that word, by the way, well done, but they are also likely going to be charged with violating federal statutes. And I don't think it's going to be pretty. And by the way, Don Lemon apparently had intent to assist in this process because he had prior knowledge of communicating with the leader of this group, and he crossed state lines to help foment this riot. He flew in specifically from New York, according to reports, to Minneapolis, got off the plane, headed right over to the church, and interviewed the person who led this outrage.
You know, Don Lemon, this is clearly, in my mind at least, I think everything you said is accurate. That's what I've seen reported as well. What a stupid decision, though, without CNN legal to hold his hand through things like this. I guess he just has no idea the consequences. This is, however, probably the most attention he's had since being fired. You know, he's doing one of these like Megyn Kelly type shows, except he's on the very far left instead of the right. And so he gets 2,000 3,000, 4,000. You know, a good view for him is like 10, 15,000 views. In other words, he's like a nobody. And I think this is probably the first time he's been relevant in a year or more. I hope it was worth it. I hope he has enough savings left over for the defense attorneys he will likely need.
My advice, Don, is actually don't waste your money on a defense because your position is indefensible. It is likely you'll be convicted. And I think I would, Don, throw yourself on the mercy of the court. Tom Pappard, thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. Always a pleasure.
Up next, Mark Pulliam, Misrule of Law. Back after this.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio Show.
This is WJFN, Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFV, Portsmouth.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. During a Sunday service at City's Church in Minneapolis yesterday.
So you can see the protesters here have gathered over here. They're in the middle of the church. So in the beginning of the church service, the pastor was speaking.
A description of the scene from a social media video post by the Center for Baptist Leadership from townhall.com. GOP strategist Aaron McGuire is calling for prosecutions of the protesters.
If there was attacks, if people broke the laws, not only should there be a thorough and full investigation, but the long arm of justice and the heavy hand of the law should be absolutely brought down on these individuals, and they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
McGuire spoke with the Salem Radio Network. Spanish rescue crews are desperately searching for survivors at the scene of a deadly high-speed train collision. Left at least 39 people dead in southern Spain.
Video footage released by the Guardia Civil shows rescue workers evacuating the injured as they investigate the rubble. The collision occurred when at the tail end of a train travelling between Malaga and Madrid with some 300 passengers went off the rails near Cordoba at 7:45 p.m. Spanish time. It slammed into a train coming from Madrid to Huelva, another southern Spanish city, according to rail operator Adif. The Spanish Red Cross has set up a health centre in the town of Adamos near the crash site, offering assistance to emergency services and people seeking information. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Trump is threatening tariffs against European countries that work against U.S. acquisition of Greenland. The EU plans an emergency summit on Thursday to determine its response to the president's threat. A Nigerian lawmaker says more than 150 worshippers have been abducted in Nigeria after gunmen attacked several churches. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Now that we're finally into the new year, a lot of us are thinking about taxes, home projects we've been putting off, ways to get ahead financially in 2026. Now's the perfect time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. If you want to lower your mortgage payment, they can help you refinance. If you need access to cash for home improvements or to wipe out high-interest debt, their fixed-rate line of credit is one of the best tools out there. Fast approval, predictable rate, and flexibility to use your home's equity wisely. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. Imagine starting big projects or paying down debt with 2 months of breathing room. My family and I have used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Take control of 2026. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. or call 800-510-MIKE. That's 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans. Mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Despite economic growth of 5% last year, China says its economy is facing serious challenges this year.
The key to the country's growth lies in exports and finding new markets outside the United States after Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese goods. Beijing still has serious domestic challenges. A slump in the property market has many households curbing their spending. Local governments are deep in debt and youth unemployment remains stubbornly high. China has also recorded the lowest birth rate on record in 2025, despite huge government incentives to encourage more couples to have children.
The BBC's Laura Bicker. A shooting at a town hall in the northern Czech Republic has left 1 person dead, 4 others wounded, including a police officer. Police say the attacker was fatally shot earlier today and there's no further danger to the public. News and analysis, townhall.com. Mid-sized cities all across the country are increasingly converting one-way streets to two-way traffic.
Transportation planners view this step as one of the easiest ways to improve safety. They also see this as one of the easiest ways to make downtowns more alluring to shoppers, restaurant patrons, and would-be residents. Almost all streets initially started as two-way before a mass exodus to the suburbs prioritized speedy commutes over walkability. Indianapolis is in the middle of a $60 million conversion effort.
Correspondent Andrew Stewart. Hackers have disrupted Iranian state television to air footage supporting the exiled crown prince. The footage calls for security forces to not point your weapons at the people. This comes amid ongoing nationwide demonstrations in Iran and the crackdown that has left at least 3,900 people dead. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. It is the highlight of the beginning of our week when we have here in studio, all-star panelist, retired attorney, author of the Misrule of Law blog, the one, the only, Mark Pulliam. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Michael, and happy Martin Luther King Day.
Happy Dolly Parton Day here in Tennessee. Mark, just your blog post, Anatomy of an Insurrection. It's probably the most read blog post in the history of Misrule of Law.
I think it is, and it made everywhere. In fact, Scott Johnson at Powerline devoted one of his posts to this column, and got picked up in Real Clear Policy twice.
Instapundit, Hot Air.
Yeah, I made all of the sites I hoped to make, and some I'd never heard of. So,
well, of course, all of this burgeoning of your influence has come since you've been here a regular guest every Monday.
I think we're mining all the important themes, and we've been following all during 2025 the developing resistance to President Trump's deportation policies, and it's coming to a fruition in Minneapolis. And we will get to some of that later in the hour, but there's so much grim news that we talk about. Your audience must think, geez, isn't there anything funny or ironic to talk about? So I have a couple of funny or ironic things.
We've got a little change of pace.
A change of pace.
Funny stuff.
Funny stuff. So so the first item, and this is just stuff that caught my attention over the course of the week while following the news. In California, a union is trying to put on the ballot a tax measure. And in California, they have a referendum process where an initiative process where you can put things on the ballot and then the voters get to decide whether to pass it or not. And this ballot measure that they're collecting signatures for, and it's going to be on the ballot if they qualify in November, would impose a 5% tax on the assets, not the income, but the assets of billionaires in California who lived there on January 1st of this year. So it would, if it was enacted, actually be retroactive to the beginning of the year. There were, as of January 1, about 215 billionaires in California. And because they see this thing as likely to get on the ballot, and once it's on the ballot, it's likely to pass, they are busy leaving the state. And the Miami area realtors their phones are just ringing off the hook with the billionaires looking to relocate. And according to news reports, nearly $1 trillion in wealth has already evacuated the state of California, and more is coming. And this is what happens when you have a free society where people have mobility. People vote with their feet, and they can escape bad policies, or in this case, confiscatory policies. And New York City may be right behind California with the moneyed class, the wealthy entrepreneurs and businessmen fleeing to escape confiscatory taxation. And I find some humor in that these liberals do not understand that rich people are not a fixed asset where you can just tap into them and drain them, that they're free to leave, and they will leave. That's how they became wealthy. They're smart. So the second thing that caught my...
Before I get to that,
sure.
I just have to say a personal note here. So I was friends with, not so much now, but not unfriendly with, but I was friends in college and business school with Steve Ballmer, right? And Steve, owns the LA Clippers NBA team. He's worth $141 billion.
Oh, boy.
Now, he's a smart guy. He's not, I wouldn't call him a conservative. I wouldn't call him a lefty. He's kind of sort of in the middle, business guy. One of the smartest guys I've ever met. One of the most intense guys I've ever met. I haven't talked to him in a long time. But a good guy. He's worth $141 billion. He's kind of stuck because he owns the Clippers. What's he going to do, right? If this thing passes, that's like $6 billion. They'll just take $6 billion of his money.
Yeah.
He's not going to like that.
No. I'd give up my courtside seats to avoid paying that kind of a tariff.
Good point.
Yeah. So the second thing is, we'll talk about this transgender case that was argued in the Supreme Court last week. But one of the comments that Ketanji Brown Jackson made, saying, it's unfair for cis females to not be, allowed or to be treated differently than trans females. And it reminded me of the old joke that Abe Lincoln used to tell people. And he said, now, if you called a dog's tail a leg, how many legs would the dog have? And people would say 5. He says, no, 4. You can calling the tail a leg doesn't make it a leg. And that's what people don't understand about trans.
That is great.
Calling somebody a female doesn't make them a female. They're still a male. And
so that is an Abraham Lincoln story that, I'd never heard, but it's fabulous.
Well, and I'm
look at how you use the language. That was really great.
Well, and everybody can identify with that. I'm disappointed that none of the advocates in the Supreme Court actually brought that up when Ketanji Brown Jackson was asking these dumb questions.
Okay, you got another Hollywoody kind of story here.
Okay, so older people or younger people may not remember who John Hinckley was or even who Jodie Foster was, but famously in 81, shortly after President Reagan was inaugurated, John Hinckley attempted to assassinate him in Washington, D.C. and nearly succeeded and ended up killing somebody who shot somebody in the head.
Secret Service guy was shot, and then the Secretary Jim Brady, and lived for many years, but was incapacitated and died from the injuries 20 years later.
And so John Hinckley, the reason he did this, and this was what he asserted as his defense at trial and got off, he was committed to a mental hospital for 30 years, but this was his defense, is that he was totally infatuated with Jodie Foster, who he'd seen in Taxi Driver, and he had actually lurked around her dormitory in New Haven, Connecticut when she was attending Yale, trying to get her attention.
Her. He was
stalking her.
Yeah.
And he thought this is how he could get her attention, and if she saw what a magnificent person he was, the lengths that he was willing to go to woo her, she would fall in love with him or something. And so this stunt was basically done to get Jodie Foster's attention, and it was patterned after a scene in Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver.
Yeah. And so he spent 30 years in St. Elizabeth's Hospital, finally got out. And
Shouldn't
now,
have been gotten out, but go ahead.
Now he's telling TMZ and other media outlets that he believes that he was, I think he's writing a book and he's pushing
Yeah, he's pushing a book.
That he believes that he was responsible for Jodie Foster becoming a lesbian because, his behavior is what turned her off of heterosexual romance. And at first I thought, well, that's such a crazy thing. What kind of crazy person would say that or think that? Well, the answer is somebody who claimed to be insane, was adjudicated to be insane, and spent 30 years in a mental hospital because he was insane. So
and then got released.
He got released.
Should not have been released, by the way.
He's still insane, though.
I know.
Yeah. And the last thing is Kamala Harris and her husband, Doug, just bought an $8 million house in Malibu, California, on the water. And I was reading these news reports, and this house is magnificent. It has everything, including a natural gas range and oven.
Natural gas?
Natural gas.
Isn't that evil?
Well, isn't that what the Biden administration was trying to ban? And then she was on record, and this is one of the things or talking points for pushing the Green New Deal, was that the water levels were going to rise and that all this coastal property was going to be engulfed. I go, well, but yet people like her can buy their houses on the water. The Obamas bought a oceanfront place in Martha's Vineyard. So what they say and what they do are two different things.
I'm shocked.
So I think they know that their rhetoric is a lie and their behavior shows that it was a lie. Now, we have to ask ourselves, where did that $8 million come from?
The book sale.
She didn't sell any copies of that book. It was a crappy book.
It was. But it was 107 days, $20 million.
Yeah.
Back with Mark Pulliam for some serious legal stuff after this.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging supplements clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Mark Pulliam, author of Misrule of Law, retired attorney, good friend, all-star panelist. Mark, it was fun talking about fun stuff. Now we got to get to some real legal analysis.
Right.
What's going on with the transgender sports case that was argued before the Supreme Court?
Well, a lot of people have the idea that since we won the Scarametti case last term, and because President Trump has issued some executive orders dealing with the transgenders, that the problem's been solved and there's no further controversy. But the left has not yet given up on this. This fad has kind of faded, I think, to a large degree in the public mind, but the far left, the fringe, still is carrying this banner, and they're still litigating their case in court. And as a result, there were 2 cases argued last week in the Supreme Court. The court devoted over 3 hours of argument in these 2 cases combined. And one was from Idaho, one was from West Virginia. They presented the same issue, and that is these states have passed laws that say that sports in at least publicly sponsored sports in schools and universities in those states, if they are designated female sports, you have to be a biological female to participate. And these states are not alone. There's 27 states in total that limit participation in sports by biological sex. Well, the ACLU challenged these laws under the Equal Protection Clause, and the claim is that sexual orientation or gender identity is protected by the Constitution, so that it's unconstitutional for a state to forbid a boy from participating in a girl's sport if he proclaims himself or identifies as a female. And that's what they call trans, which is calling a tail a leg, but it doesn't make it a leg. He's still a boy. And that's pretty much the attitude of a lot of the justices on the court if you read between the lines of their questions. And Justice Alito, who I have to say, since Justice Scalia died, has become my favorite Supreme Court justice. He's smart, he's conservative, and he has enormous common sense. And he knows how to frame a question where it's like putting a rope around somebody's neck on the gallows that, boom, they're gone. So he asked the ACLU lawyer during this oral argument and says, we've got this constitutional issue about women's sports. How, what does it mean to be a man or a woman? He's asking the ACLU lawyer. Don't we need to know what it means to be a man or a woman? And the ACLU lawyer responded, quote, "We do not have a definition for the court," close quote. And that's because they know that they're calling a tail a leg. And that if you try to define it, it'll be obvious that, well, you're describing the leg, you're describing the tail. It can't be both. And so I think that the court will conclude that there's no constitutional objection to states doing what Idaho and West Virginia are doing.
West Virginia said, look, if you're born biologically a male, you cannot participate in girl sports. And there's plenty of evidence that shows men are stronger and faster, as a group than women. And if you have a male athlete who performs in the male competition, in the low 300s in rankings, they're almost always in the top 10 if they compete against women. It's just common sense.
Yes, so you got fairness considerations, you have safety considerations. There are examples of, let's say, in a volleyball game, a male player pretending to be a girl spikes the ball so hard it could actually physically injure. And in basketball, same thing. These sports involve physical contact, and due to the strength differential, women athletes could be injured, and it's simply unfair. That's why Title IX was passed, to give female athletes a chance to have their own sports and to compete as female athletes. And now you got failed male athletes who are willing to go through the indignity of pretending to be a woman in order to be the top athlete, to be the number one swimmer.
By the way, just back on this, I guess we're in the land of kind of guessing and prognosticating. Will it be 6-3? Will it be 5-4? Will it be 4-5? Right, in terms of the decisions. From the questioning, reading the tea leaves, it's probably 6-3, maybe 5-4. And the only one who might be a little bit squishy on this would be Gorsuch, I think. But I could be wrong.
Well, you're right about Gorsuch. He wrote that Bostock decision a few years ago where he...
Tell us what that is.
Well, so that was a case involving Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 dealing with employment discrimination. And the issue in Title VII prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, does not cover sexual orientation or gender identity or trans status. And a trans person claim that they were discriminated against on the basis of their status and brought a suit under Title VII. And Gorsuch, in a very controversial decision that none of the other conservatives joined, said that it was a very convoluted statutory interpretation that says sex includes all of these other things, sexual orientation, gender identity, etc. And he's still receiving criticism for that, and I think he'll never live it down. It'll be one of the first lines in his obituary someday. And so, but for whatever reason, there's this little ninja that's burrowed itself into his brain.
It's a libertarian ninja.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
I think.
But at the same time, that was statutory. This is constitutional. And here's the deal. one of the arguments that Phyllis Schlafly made against the Equal Rights Amendment when it was in, its final push to get ratified, she rallied the women of America and said, if this is passed, there will not be any basis for treating men and women differently. Women would be drafted, etc. Men would be participating in women's sports. And
that's what she said back then. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were
That's
horrified.
like
They said, that's
1976.
crazy. That's intolerable. And in fact, the ratification deadline came and went. It was never ratified. And so what these ACLU types are doing, they're basically pretending like the Equal Rights Amendment was ratified, and it's not. So under the Constitution, under well-established constitutional law principles, sex is not a suspect classification, and that it would take basically a constitutional revolution for the court, as in these cases, to say that it is, and that's not going to happen. And I think that it may be that we lose Gorsuch, but it may be that we will pick up somebody else, because this really is a silly argument, and the momentum behind the whole trans agenda is fading. And unless you are a hardcore ideologue, now I could see Sotomayor going along with this, certainly KBJ. I have hope that Elena Kagan, and we will get into this in the next
I know where you're going with that,
is that she has the capacity to wake up and do the right thing if she knows that it's stupid. Because one thing she is, she's a former dean of the Harvard Law School. She's not stupid.
The other two, you could use that adjective to describe.
Yeah.
But she's not stupid.
No.
She's very smart. She's wrong.
And she doesn't want to appear to be foolish. This is a foolish argument, I think. And I think Gorsuch is foolish to the extent that he even thinks about
Later
going
in
this
the
way.
hour, we will get to this 7-2 decision on another issue.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And Kagan saw the light. Kagan joined. So what you're saying is it's possible on this transgender sports issue that Kagan could move over.
I think it is. I certainly predict that that Idaho and West Virginia will win, and the trans status will not be given constitutional protection.
It'll be either 5-4 with Gorsuch joining the three liberals on the court, or 6-3, or 7-2 if Kagan moves over.
I think Gorsuch is not going to go down in flames over this. He got scalded over Bostock and doesn't want to get scalded again.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. I like that. And it would be good for the country. It would be good for the court if Kagan joins in this decision.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest. Now, Sotomayor, always weak, not in good health, probably will retire at some point in the next couple of years. Ketanji Brown Jackson, who's entirely inept, crazy, leftist, unconstitutional, can't tell you what a woman is. We're going to be stuck with her for a period of time.
Well, and people need to remember that when Marsha Blackburn asked her at a confirmation hearing, can you give us a definition of a woman? She says, no, I'm not a biologist.
And she's also not a judge.
No.
Or not a sane judge.
Yeah.
Although she's on the Supreme Court. All right. When we come back, we'll go into the Minnesota resistance and basically the destruction of the nullification argument.
Yep.
Back after this.
Yep.
Folks, this is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Solti. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many, many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Solti for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get 50% off on your initial shipment of Soul Tea. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
For years, the Europeans have underestimated President Trump time after time. But at every turn, he's been right. On energy, on NATO, on foreign free riding. It's time they pay up. That's why he's cracking down on foreign countries that don't pay their fair share for American medicines. Renegotiating trade deals for the prescription drugs we invent. President Trump is ending the foreign freeloading, making Europe pay their fair share.
Paid for by Americans for Limited Government.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Adrian from Virginia wants to talk to us about the transgender men and women sports issue before the Supreme Court. Adrian, you're on with Mark Pulliam and yours truly.
Hey, Mark. Hey, man, I appreciate taking my phone call. Look, I want to be very clear. I am on the side of boys not participating in women's and girls and women's sports. Okay, I want to be very clear about that. This has become a problem. I love the joke that Abraham Lincoln. I think I'm going to run with that for the rest of my life. It's a pinpoint. It's beautiful that he brought that up. It's amazing, actually. But here's my point, and this involves patriotic parents and kids and students. This involves having to sacrifice winning, participating, and also it gives you honor. I think there's some honor in this. What I mean with this is that this could have stopped from the moment it started. When the moment Leah Thompson stepped on that platform, if all those women would have sucked their pride down and just said no and sat down the platform and said, we're not doing this, that would have led the movement for young women and young girls to sit there and fight back. But the women who continue to participate in these sports against these men are losing, not only in the game, but losing this fight because they continue to participate and give them what's the word? I'm sorry, I lost it. But give
credibility.
Them, credibility. Yes, thank you. Sorry for that. I know a lot of people don't see it that way, but I tell you right now, and I told this to John Fredericks once, if you are a parent of a young lady who's in travel softball, travel volleyball, and you have to drive, 1,000 miles or 500 miles to go participate in the sport, and then you find out that the teams you're playing are forfeiting because you have a boy on your team, it changes really quick because it hits them hard in the pocket, and it makes them second-guess themselves. Should they drive this to just sit around and do nothing because these people? Now, I know some girls have done this, some teams have done this, and I love that they did that, and it shows that they're fighting back. I don't know. A lot of people don't agree with me, but I think if the moment Leah Thompson stepped on that platform and them girls sat down, this would have been done with. And
Adrian,
it would have showed America. But go ahead.
No. Thank you for that call, Adrian. I think it's a very good point. Mark, I think he's right. But here's the thing that I would say about this. Adrian is a sharp guy. But here's the point that he's making. Because Riley Gaines who we know has led the charge against this, was on that was kicked off the platform when that the big, tall male guy who still had all his business got fifth place in the national race. But the pressures on these girls, you know, the thing that they've been spending all their time to compete, they want to compete.
Yeah,
right?
People don't understand how much time and effort these athletes have devoted to their sport, and to tell them that you should forfeit. They shouldn't have to forfeit. These people just shouldn't be allowed to participate, period. Fortunately, the tide is turning. Unfortunately, the tide is not yet turning in Minneapolis, and the resistance continues. It would be so much worse if this was happening in the summer instead of, winter in Minneapolis. If it's in the single digits, that's a warm day. It's going to be below zero here coming up. But what we're seeing, it's, President Trump has not yet invoked the Insurrection Act. The federal troops are not there yet. We do have 3,000 ICE officers on the ground there, much to the consternation of Jacob Frey and Tim Walz, and they complain that the state has been inundated with ICE officers. Well, you don't hear those complaints happening in Texas and Florida and Tennessee. Why is that? Well, it's because in Florida and Texas and Tennessee, the state and local authorities are cooperating with ICE instead of fighting it. And so ICE has to do everything themselves because nobody up in Minnesota is lifting a finger. And so this past week we had several things that happened, in the connection with perpetuating this anarchy in the streets. There was another shooting by an ICE officer. He had a targeted traffic stop. He had a Venezuelan illegal alien who, when his car was stopped, fled in his car, got out of his car, fled on foot, was accosted by the ICE officer, resisted arrest. And while he was resisting arrest, 2 more Venezuelan illegal aliens came out of a nearby building and helped him, were beating him with a snow shovel and a broom handle. Finally, the ICE officer had to fire his weapon at the original suspect, wounded him in the leg. And so, we shouldn't have this kind of violence. This violence is unnecessary. If the state and local authorities in Minnesota were cooperating, we could round up everybody we needed to round up and move on to another jurisdiction. So they are they've created this problem, and now they whine about it. This suspect who was wounded was released into the U.S. by President Biden in 2022, and we must never forget the reason we have this problem that President Trump is trying to solve is because of one person and one person only. His name is Joe Biden, and he tried to drive America into a ditch by opening our borders, letting in millions upon millions of unvetted illegal aliens, creating enormous problems that President Trump was saddled with and is doing his best to resolve. And as a result of this rhetoric and actions in places like Minnesota, assaults on ICE officers are up 1,300%. Vehicular attacks on ICE personnel is up 3,200%. Death threats against ICE officials up 8,000%. It's outrageous and it's sickening. And these people in Minnesota should be ashamed. It got so bad in Minneapolis that rioters broke into an FBI vehicle and stole a rifle, ammunition, and sensitive documents.
They arrested that guy, by the way.
Agents, and he was a Latin Kings gang member.
Another illegal alien.
And despite all of this, Governor Walz is accusing ICE of atrocities, terrorizing the community, and he's actively encouraging resistance to federal law enforcement, which in my mind goes very close to violating the law. And when you talk about invasions and Gestapo, et cetera, get the F out of Minnesota, what are you doing? You're emboldening every weirdo to
I've got a clip on that. Do you have the Jacob Frey clip where he was interviewed? And so on Sunday, he was interviewed by, this was Jonathan Karl, who interviewed Jacob Frey. And he was asked very specifically about that statement, where he said, remember now, there's, we've had immigration law here since 1929. And this has been long established federal rule that that ICE officials, ICE has been around since 2001, 2002. ICE officials can have the authority and law enforcement officers to go in and to basically take illegal alien criminals for deportation. In most cases, most cities cooperate with ICE, but they don't do that in Minneapolis. So when you say to ICE, get the F out of ICE, you're saying, I'm not going to abide by federal statutes. Here's Jonathan Karl, who's a lefty, incredulous at the answer from Jacob Fry. Here we go.
After the shooting of Renee Good, you went on national television and you said to ICE, get the F out of Minneapolis. Do you regret that language? I mean, that doesn't sound like turning the temperature down.
I don't regret it at all. In the moments before I went out there to do that press conference, I learned that Kristi Noem had already jumped to a conclusion as to the ICE agent's conduct.
Okay, I mean, this guy clearly is seeking to undermine our constitutional republic.
And what's weird is that Democrats, even liberal Democrats, until just a few years ago, were on board with deporting illegal aliens. You know, Clinton talked about it. Schumer talked about it. Obama talked about it. They bragged about how many people they were deporting. And then it was like a memo got passed out that say, no, now we've switched positions. We're for open borders, and we have to have as many illegal aliens as possible. And now, even though it completely contradicts all this rhetoric that the Democrats were espousing, they're taking completely the opposite position. And so we have, and you reported this in the previous hour, the horrific spectacle of a bunch of crazy anti-ICE radicals invading a church in the middle of a worship service, disrupting, terrorizing the children, and with Don Lemon there, peddling or promoting his podcast in the process. This is a violation of many federal laws, including the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances, the FACE Act. And people are saying on social media, if these people are not perp-walked, booked, and their mugshots are not being circulated by the end of the day today, that the Trump administration has no credibility. But we've seen Harmeet Dillon has sent her squad of people on a plane, and I have a feeling they're going to get the J6 treatment, and they richly deserve it.
Yeah, they do. This is all misdirection. And the reason that you see Tim Walz and Jacob Fry and Attorney General Keith Ellison focusing on this anti-ICE message and withdrawing law enforcement from the enforcement of the rule of law there is because they want to take attention away from all of the fraud investigations. And I think what we're going to find out is the fraud is huge, A. B, Governor Tim Walz, Mayor Jacob Fry are all, and Attorney General Ellison are all aware of it and benefit from it.
And Representative Ilhan Omar, that these suitcases full of cash that we have, our Secretary of Treasury is saying we're going to trace that money back to its source, and I bet that they're all
We've got a clip
up to their
of
ears.
Ilhan Omar, and there's a bad word in it, but you've seen this clip.
Yeah.
We'll show that. We'll silence the bad word. It's a very quick clip. This is what she said on Saturday at a hearing of all the Democrats to talk about how much they hate ICE. She hates not just ICE, but listen to this clip.
The one place where we thought we would never experience this is the U.S. goddamn.
Yeah. So she was cursing.
Yeah. Now, she should be denaturalized and sent back to Somalia. All of this is part of all goes back to Biden, this judge who just issued the preliminary injunction this
Biden
week,
appointee.
Biden appointee, the ACLU, these Biden people, all of these judges that Biden appointed, every single one of them is a left-wing activist, and their rulings from the bench represent not application of the law.
No, not at all.
It's all promoting a left-wing agenda. It's disgusting, and I hope the American public remembers what happens when you elect a Democrat president. This is the type of mischief. And even though we've gotten rid of Biden, these judges are going to be serving for the rest of their lives.
Well, yes.
Unless they're impeached.
Or there's another alternative.
Unless Congress strips them of jurisdiction or defunds them.
Or it changes the way that the federal district court work, which they can do. Which Congress can do that. I'm all in favor of it.
Yeah.
Now, do they have that kind of vision? Most of them don't. But that's the way to stop it. When we come back, we've got another good ruling from the Supreme Court. 7-2. Justice Kagan, usually a lefty, has joined the conservative majority. That's where we're hoping things will go. Back after this.
Ponder this. Most of us in America have more than we need to sustain ourselves, like a roof over our heads, food to eat, and clothes to wear, and much more. The one thing we seem to be lacking every day is more time. There is never enough time in our day, or in a night for that matter. That being said, we try to create more time each day by rushing around to perhaps buy a little more time. We rush from one event to another. We double or even triple task to save time. We drive fast cars to get to our fast food restaurants. Our days are full with little time left for family, friends, and God. To better manage your pace, take a minute each morning to get on your knees and let the Lord know that you are giving Him all your time today. Sincerely ask Him to give you clear direction on what He wants you to accomplish each day. The Lord will make sure you have plenty of time for His will to be done without rushing around. Listen to the Lord to manage your time each day. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am Passionately Catholic.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
Lifestyles Unlimited is a real estate education group that gives you the roadmap and resources to start building income through real estate. You'll learn practical strategies for using investment properties to create extra income and make informed decisions, one step at a time. Join today for just $297. That's a 60% savings off the regular price of our real estate education program. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Do you think workers in Virginia should be forced to pay union dues and fees just to get or keep a job? For 80% of Virginians, the answer is no. That's why Virginia's right-to-work law is so popular. Unfortunately, special interest lobbyists in Richmond are seeking to repeal right-to-work in Virginia. With the General Assembly back, it is vital to tell your legislators and Governor Abigail Spanberger to oppose forced unionism and protect right-to-work in Virginia. Sign your petition today at virginiarighttowork.com. That's virginiarighttowork.com. The National Right to Work Committee paid for this ad.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Mark Pulliam, author of Misrule of Law, retired attorney, legal scholar. Big story here, an election standing case won by conservatives. I guess what Judicial Watch founded it. 7-2.
Yeah.
Kagan joined the majority.
Yeah. So, people scratch their head and say, standing, what is that? Well, the concept is in federal court that judges' cases can only be heard if it's a legitimate case or controversy brought by somebody who has concrete injury, and that's called standing. And if you're lacking standing, that even if the issue is a legitimate issue, the courts will refuse to hear the case because it's not, the person, there's no live person with standing to bring it. And in 2020, we all were horrified when there were all these irregularities in elections, that non-legislative bodies and states were monkeying around with mail-in ballot rules and extending deadlines under the guise of COVID. And many, many lawsuits were brought to challenge these things, but almost all of them were thrown out of court on the grounds that the people had no standing. And in fact, Ken Paxton filed a lawsuit in the Supreme Court on behalf of the state of Texas, and that one was dismissed that, well, you don't have standing. So it's an important issue, and the Supreme Court heard this case and decided it correctly. The case was Bost v. Illinois State Board of Elections. It was filed by Judicial Watch on behalf of Congressman Mike Bost from Illinois, and he was challenging a state law, a statute that allows mail-in ballots in Illinois to be counted if they're dated on or before Election Day, even if not received on or prior to Election Day, as long as they are received within 14 calendar days after Election Day. 14 calendar days is a long time. That's like 3 weeks of business, because 5 business days in a week. So, and he's saying, wait a minute, federal law specifies that Election Day is the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November in every even-numbered year. That's Title II, United States Code, Section 7. So he's saying this state statute actually is contrary to federal law, and I have, as a congressman, as a candidate whose name is on the ballot, I have a beef about the fact that my state is doing it wrong. Well, the Supreme Court only agreed to hear the standing issue, did not decide whether Illinois law is, in fact, in conflict with federal law. But on that issue of standing, in a 7-2 decision written by Chief Justice John Roberts, and people I know sometimes get unhappy with him, but he is the Chief Justice.
On balance, I think Roberts is pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's gotten better.
Yeah.
Since NFIB v. Sebelius, which was a debacle of a decision.
And since he's a Chief Justice, he can't be out on the edge like Alito or Thomas. He's got to be sort of the guardian of the court's reputation, et cetera. But the significant thing, as you've mentioned, and as we talked about earlier, is that this decision, the 7-2 decision, was joined by Justice Elena Kagan. And the court ruled that candidates have standing to sue over ballot concerns. Now, Judicial Watch president, and it's interesting that this was a red meat issue brought by a red meat organization. And so when you have Tom Fitton, the Judicial Watch president, calling this the, quote, most important election law ruling in a generation, close quote, and you have Elena Kagan has gone over from the 6-3, the liberal bloc, to join with the conservatives. What that shows is that these liberals really, they're just a bunch of crazy zealots, and they're going to rule whichever way the Democrats favor, regardless of the merits. And and that we can pick her up if we have truth, justice, and the American way on our side, as it was here. So the Supreme Court in this ruling overruled the district court and a divided panel of the Seventh Circuit. So this is, I think, something to be happy about, and it has consequences going forward. It's going to make it harder for states to monkey around with rules, because if we have a repeat of what happened in 2020, courts are not going to be able to throw these things out for a lack of standing as long as we had an actual candidate who was on the ballot bringing the challenge.
I got a weird element on Elena Kagan. Her brother, Mark, taught Zohran Mamdani in high school, the Bronx High School of Science, and was a member of his transition team. So you know where she comes from, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
she's very intelligent, and look, I think it's not a problem having Elena Kagan on the Supreme Court. 7-2 decisions. You know, you have alternative views. She can express them well. She is grounded in legal precedent, unlike Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson, who are grounded in ideology. Totally. She has a lot of ideology involved in her, but she's, you know, I think she's, yeah, the court will function with her.
Yeah.
The court will be a debacle
yeah.
with Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah. So the other good news this week was, your audience may remember.
You got 30 seconds.
Okay, so they tried to deport this pro-Hamas agitator at Columbia who was here on a student visa, and Marco Rubio said, we're going to revoke your student visa and we're going to deport you. And the courts,
Federal
Biden
district
appointee
judge
said no. The Third Circuit said, yes, you can be deported.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Mark Pulliam, always happy to have you here. Thanks
Yep.
for joining us.
All right.
We'll have more when we come back. Greenland. What's going on with Greenland? Europe's all upset about it. I say we're taking it. Back after this.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
Let's be real. Losing weight isn't just about looking good. It's about taking back control of your overall health. 42% of adults in America are classified as obese, and obesity is directly linked to severe health issues. If you've tried diets and different workouts with no success, it's not your fault. Big Food and Big Pharma have rigged the system against you with contradicting information, leaving you confused. But there's good news. The Wellness Company just launched Drop, a GLP-1 peptide oral drop formula developed by their chief medical board, specifically designed cravings and help you shed weight. That's right. No injections, no risk of the severe side effects we're seeing with the Ozempic. Start your weight loss journey today and get $100 off plus free shipping. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and use promo code Godzilla100. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla100. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio.
WENO Nashville, KQPN West Memphis. Listen 24/7 with the News Talk 760 app, available in the Apple Store and Google Play.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. During a Sunday service at City's Church in Minneapolis yesterday, an ice mob stormed the service, disrupting worship. This video was posted by the Center for Baptist Leadership on townhall.com.
Here is a member.
A description from the scene, and GOP strategist Aaron McGuire says the protesters must be held accountable.
We protect the difference between church and state, and we allow people to worship freely and safely in this country.
McGuire spoke to the Salem radio network. People even suspected of working for ICE, enforcing federal immigration law, have been harassed. The White House has announced that members of the new Palestinian Committee to run Gaza's day-to-day affairs.
At least 8 more countries say the United States has invited them to join President Donald Trump's new Board of Peace, overseeing next steps for Gaza. A U.S. official has confirmed that a $1 billion contribution secures a permanent membership, while a 3-year appointment requires no contribution. India, Jordan, Australia, Greece, Cyprus, and Pakistan say they received invitations, and Hungary and Vietnam say they've accepted theirs.
That is correspondent Haya Panjawi reporting. Even as the debate between low-fat and full-fat options continues among health experts when it comes to dairy products, the White House is bringing whole milk back to school food programs. So we get more details on that from correspondent Jennifer King.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said full-fat milk has been unfairly vilified.
Healthy kids need real food. They need real protein. They need healthy fats.
Some recent studies suggest that kids who drink whole milk in moderation are less likely to develop obesity. The law requires schools participating in the National School Lunch Program to offer a range of options, including lactose-free and fortified non-dairy drinks that meet the nutritional standards. I'm Jennifer King.
The financial markets are closed today for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. More from townhall.com.
Have you noticed losing weight feels harder than it used to be? You're eating better, you're moving more, but the scale barely moves. That can be incredibly frustrating. You start wondering what's going on. Is it age? Hormones? Could it be stress? For many, the real problem isn't willpower, it's metabolic dysfunction. And standard dieting often makes it worse. At PhD Weight Loss, they don't just tell you to eat less and exercise more. There's so much more than that. They help you fix the root cause of stubborn weight gain. In fact, they've helped thousands finally understand why their bodies resist weight loss and what actually works. Right now, you can take their free metabolic assessment at fixmyweightloss.com. Fixmyweightloss.com. It's quick, personalized, and pinpoints the real reason your body is holding on to weight, so you finally know what to fix. Stop guessing. Start understanding your body. Visit fixmyweightloss.com. Fixmyweightloss.com. From our friends at PhD Weight Loss. Visit fixmyweightloss.com now.
Here's Rich Thomason with the Midday Wall Street Business Report.
U.S. financial markets, including Wall Street, are closed today for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday. Despite growing 5% last year, China says its economy is facing serious challenges this year.
The key to the country's growth lies in exports and finding new markets outside the United States after Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese goods. Beijing still has serious domestic challenges. A slump in the property market has many households curbing their spending. Local governments are deep in debt, and youth unemployment remains stubbornly high. China has also recorded the lowest birth rate on record in 2025, despite huge government incentives to encourage more couples to have children.
The BBC's Laura Bicker. I'm Rich Thomason.
Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. The Swiss town of Davos hosts the annual meeting of global political and corporate elites this week. World Economic Forum organizer Merrick Dusek says these are changing economic times.
It's really going to be a discussion at a very important moment. Geopolitics is changing. We are, some people think we're in a transition. Some people think we've already entered a new era, but
President Trump's threat to impose tariffs on allies over Greenland is rankling some NATO allies. At a news conference on Canadian television, CTV, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney said the security of Greenland is a priority.
The future of Greenland, decisions about the future of Greenland are for Greenland and Denmark to decide. And the security of Greenland.
The president indicated the tariffs were retaliation for last week's deployment of symbolic numbers of troops from the European countries to Greenland. For now, it remains a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. More on these stories.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Our phone number, if you want to call in, 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. We're going to turn our attention now up north and to the east, to Greenland, which is, by the way, in the Western Hemisphere, right? And it was colonized by Denmark in the 1700s, and we won it. 58,000 people live it. It's the largest. Like 90% of them are, in essence, Inuit, distant relatives of the Inuit tribes of Alaska. 58,000 people live there. 58,000. That is smaller than many modest cities in Tennessee. Franklin, for instance, is bigger than Greenland in terms of population. So Spring Hill. More people live in Spring Hill, Tennessee, than live in all of Greenland. Think about that. Now, there is a move to secure Greenland's independence. There's a referendum on that, and I think they're scheduled to be independent of Denmark. But we need it clearly for strategic and national defense purposes, because right now you've seen there is, and people talk about this and get confused about it. The climate of the world has gotten a little bit warmer over the past 100 years, about 2 degrees Fahrenheit from most sources. And now the cause of that's a natural, not man-made event. Most the leftists are saying it's man-made. It's not. It's natural. Nonetheless, one of the consequences is that the Arctic waterways have become navigable, more navigable than before. And if you look at a map of the world, the globe, from the top, from the Arctic Circle, from the North Pole, looking down, you can see that if Russia or China wanted to undertake a naval invasion of the United States, the most logical way to go would be right through Greenland, and which is why we need it strategically. Okay. I want to hear from a couple of experts on the matter. Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas was weighing in on the strategic importance to the United States of securing control of Greenland. Play that clip right now.
I'll have you respond to that. Is this going to weaken our relationship with our allies?
Well, first off, Aisha, it's good to see you and good to be on with you, and congratulations on your new show. The president is right that Greenland is vital for the national security interest of the United States, and therefore vital that the United States have a closer relationship with Greenland to NATO's security interest as well. American presidents have realized this for decades, starting with at least Harry Truman, a Democrat himself. Greenland, along with Iceland and the United Kingdom, control the gap through which the Russian Navy has to move from the Arctic Ocean to the North Atlantic. Greenland is critical to missile defenses. Any attack from Russia or China would come, at least in part, over the North Pole. Greenland also has large deposits of rare earth elements, which China currently uses as leverage against the United States and our allies. So I don't think anyone questions that a closer relationship between the United States and Greenland is in everyone's mutual interest. Frankly, the best solution probably would be to acquire Greenland from Denmark. We have a long history in our country of doing so. Obviously, the Louisiana Purchase or the purchase of Alaska. We've even done it with Denmark. What we know as the Virgin Islands used to be the Danish West Indies. Short of that, we do have a treaty with Denmark from 1951 that gives us widespread access to Greenland. We need to immediately start moving forward on either front, though, to start achieving that effect. The president's post this morning mentioned the Golden Dome. Again, a lot of this gets back to missile defense and early warning systems, and he doesn't want to waste a minute. He knows he only has 3 years left in office. He wants to get this new missile defense system in place. That means we've got to start moving. That means we've got to have access to Greenland.
Yeah, we do. So what he said is any European power that opposes our acquisition of Greenland, who's going to drop a 10% tariff on it. And all the Europeans are whining and complaining, we're going to send troops. The Germans sent, 13 troops and a dog sled? That's not going to cut it. Well, what are you doing? The underlying reason for our need to acquire Greenland is because only we can use it in a way to defend against an attack by Russia or China. That's the underlying reason. And all of this business about, it's part of Denmark. What a bunch of balderdash. And by the way, Scott Bessent was talking about just how well the Danish supervised Greenland and how they violated the rights of many Greenlandic people. Play this clip right now.
And annex all of Greenland, something that 85% of people living in Greenland oppose.
Well, again, and let's look back. Denmark has a terrible history with Greenlanders. There was forced sterilizations up until the 80s or the 90s. So all of a sudden, now that the U.S. has expressed an interest, there is this new interest. And again, the United States needs to be in control to prevent a war, and that we do not want to get dragged into someone else's war.
Yeah. Did you know that? Yeah, they had a massive program of forced sterilization. Really? What about the individual liberty of those folks? And by the way, that claim that 85% of Greenlanders, don't want to be part of the United States, take that with a grain of salt. I think the president has some really, really good ideas here. And obviously, we've got a bit of a PR campaign going against the president. There's a report in many news outlets. It's not been confirmed at all by the White House. A communication that Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Støre claims was sent to him by the president. And many news outlets have reported on this communication. Reuters, The Guardian, New York Times, CBS News, etc. Now, the message was not a press release. I'm trying to find out exactly what it was. We know that this purported message came across because the Prime Minister of Norway shared it with everybody. And exactly what it was, so it wasn't a press release, wasn't a letter, wasn't a statement. There are some claims that this was a text message that was relayed to the Prime Minister of Norway by national security staff members. And here's what he claims was written. Quote, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Now, there is a document floating around the internet which purports to be this. In fact, I'm going to show you what it says. Okay. It is an undated document. It claims to be from the White House, and it says, Dear Jonas, and it's signed, Thank you, President DJT. But it's all typed, right? This is not, there's more to it in this claim. But that's not, there might have been some text, verbal communication, more or less along this line. But this is not an official release from the White House. The way you know it is, Dear Jonas, really? No. That's not a formal communication. And it's not dated. That's a problem, right? So that it takes it. If there was this communication, the Prime Minister of Norway, it would have been considered to be a private communication, and the Prime Minister of Norway is attempting to create an unfavorable international impression of Donald Trump. It's not going to work. We're getting Greenland. We're going to get it before the end of 2026. That's my prediction. All right. Hey, I'm going to shift gears a lot when we come back. Breaking news. I'm going to talk sports. There's a warning. I'm going to talk sports, NFL football, college football. Back when we get back.
Hi folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most to relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Well, if you're a football fan, it was quite an interesting weekend for the NFL. And, of course, tonight, the National College Football Championship between Indiana University and the University of Miami Hurricanes, the Hoosiers and Hurricanes. I think Indiana is undefeated and favored by about 8 points. Of course, the Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza is there, and you've got Carson Beck, the quarterback at University of Miami. It's going to be a good game tonight. I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a lot of fun. And but you know, I would say this is going to be close. I don't think it's. I think 8 points. Indiana's an 8-point favorite because they blew out Alabama. They blew out Oregon in the lead-up games. But, you know, Miami, you know, when there's a game, there's a game. And so all sorts of things can happen. So it'll be a fun game to watch. I look forward to it. One of my closest friends is from Miami, a graduate of the University of Miami Law School. He'll be rooting for the Miami Hurricanes. I'm kind of pulling for the Hoosiers just because it's a great story. And they're Hoosiers, right? They've never won a national football championship. And this kid Fernando Mendoza, great kid, won the Heisman Trophy. And Kurt Signetti, oh my gosh, what a coach. We will not see that guy smile at all during any part of the game. And, it could be an Indiana blowout, or it could be very close. Miami upset Texas A&M in the playoffs, and then upset Ohio State, and they beat Ohio State pretty soundly. Indiana only beat Ohio State 13-10. So, we'll see. Okay, let's talk about NFL. First the games, and then there's a coach. I'll go right now with the big coaching news. If you haven't watched, Sean McDermott, after 9 years of coaching the Buffalo Bills, was fired this morning. And on Saturday, the Bills lost in overtime to the Denver Broncos, 33-30. It was a tough game. There was a questionable call on a long pass that was caught and then intercepted by the Broncos. It changed the game entirely. I mean, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you look at that long pass. I mean, it was a pass it would have been down at like the 15-yard line of the Denver Broncos. And immediately the Bills could have kicked a field goal and would have won the game. But as the receiver was going down, he catches the ball, his knee hits the ground, he's touched by the defender. But as they keep rolling, the defender then takes the ball from him. And the ruling on the field, which was not overturned, was that it was an interception. And the argument would be he did not the receiver did not completely possess the ball prior to the time, even though his knee was down, prior to the time that the defender stole it from him. I don't know. I mean, I look at that, and I think it was probably a catch, and he was down, and the Bills should have won the game. But yeah, I'm from upstate New York. Of course, my brother is a really big Buffalo Bills fan. He didn't like it at all. Anyways, so they fired McDermott today. The Bills have never gone to the Super Bowl. He's been coach there for 9 years. Listen to his record. 98 wins, 50 losses. That's like a 660 winning percentage. Yikes! And they fired him because he didn't make it to the Super Bowl? That's pretty rough, folks. That is pretty rough. But just as the Ravens firing John Harbaugh ended up benefiting the New York Giants, the firing of Sean McDermott, who wants to coach, obviously continue to coach, is going to benefit one of these teams: the Miami Dolphins, the Tennessee Titans, the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Arizona Cardinals, or the Cleveland Browns. I got a message for Amy Adams-Strunk. Get on the phone right now and call Sean McDermott, because he knows how to build an offense. And he would be a very, very good head coach for the Tennessee Titans. And he could develop Cam Ward, right? Who had a pretty decent rookie season, asterisk, who certainly got a lot of talent. So, I mean, look, I think that's where he goes, right? Because if you look at this, the Cleveland Browns fired Kevin Stefanski, and he's now gone and has been hired by the Atlanta Falcons. Okay. Anyways, it's very tough these days to be in the NFL. Apparently, if you don't win the Super Bowl every year, any year you don't win the Super Bowl, despite your record, they could fire you. Now, I will say this. I enjoy watching football a lot. It's a great game for television. I don't like the politics of Goodell, and when they do stupid things like, the kneeling thing they had with Colin Kaepernick. Now they've got this anti-American leftist who's Big Bunny, something like that. I don't even going to do a Bad Bunny. Thank you, Patrick, our producer. He hates America, and he's only showing up to do the Super Bowl. I don't like that. But again, I'm a little older than the average demographic here. But the game itself is a fun game to watch, very intense, and very engaging. There is a problem with it. What is the problem? It's obvious that if you have your head hit hard thousands of times, it's not going to be good for your brain. And innumerable former football players end up with dementia, CTE. They died. They, pretty much. If you played a lot of football and got hit on the head a lot, your odds of getting CTE are pretty hard. I think where the game is probably going to end up going is you can see a lot more shorter careers, like 5 years, 6 years and out, because you can be a superstar and get all that money, but boy, if your brain isn't working, it's not good. It's not good at all. Having said all that, let's kind of do a summary of the playoffs. So yesterday or over the weekend, the Bills beat the Broncos. Bills lost to the Broncos 33-30 in overtime, and controversial. So a lot of controversial calls by the refs. But the refs make the call. That's the game. That's where the game works. And Josh Allen, he had 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and 2 interceptions. Not good. You can't have four turnovers, play the Broncos, and expect to win. Irony. So Bo Nix, the quarterback of the Broncos, breaks an ankle bone just on the next to the last play of the game. He is out for the season. Yikes. That is not good. And so the starting quarterback is going to be, what's this guy's name? I'm going to check it out. Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham is the starting quarterback. Now, Jarrett is an Auburn graduate. He's been in the league for, I think, about 6 years. Never been a starter, been a backup. He has played 2 years for the Patriots, a year for the Raiders, and then, 3 years for the Broncos. He has not thrown a pass yet this year. You're a backup at the NFL. You're pretty good. So the AFC Championship is New England Patriots traveling to Denver Broncos. I think with the quarterback thing, I think the Patriots will end up winning. They easily beat the Houston Texans 28-16. Now, on the NFC side, you've got you had quite a set of games going on there. The Seattle Seahawks just destroyed the San Francisco 49ers 41-6. I mean, there's no question they belong there. And then the late game last night was very dramatic. The Los Angeles Rams played the Chicago Bears. Towards the end of the game, pretty much the last play of the game, 4th and 4. The Bears had the ball on the 40-yard line of the Rams, and Caleb Williams was being chased all around, way back to the 50-yard line. They're just about to sack him, and he flings it, and it's caught by the tight end. First catch of the game in the end zone for a touchdown. It's like the crowd goes wild. 17-17. But in the overtime, he throws an interception. The Rams drive back, and then a young guy, the kicker, Mavis, kicks a field goal, 20-17. So the Rams are going to go to play Seattle next week. I think we're probably looking at, if I had to guess, I think we're looking at a Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots Super Bowl. We'll see. What more we get back? That's enough sports. We'll talk more politics. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Our phone number, if you want to weigh in, 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. Tell our intrepid producer, Patrick, three things. 1, your name. Number 2, the state in which you reside. And number 3, your topic. 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. All right. Also, by the way, you can watch us on X Live. Michael P. Leahy, that's me. And by the way, you can text me if you want, or send me a direct message or a public message, and often we'll play that as well. You can see us on X Live on the TN Star, and you can watch us on YouTube, Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV. I got them all. There you go. 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. Okay, where are we going as a country? Here's where we are. We have the majority of Americans love America and love our constitutional republic and want it to continue as such. And the leadership in red states, for the most part, favors that. In blue states, you've got a leadership that really is trying to destroy our constitutional republic. And if you live in a blue state right now, you know what I'm talking about. You can't get a fair shake. Everything is twisted. And look, what is the reality of all this? The reality is blue states and blue cities are resisting everything Donald Trump. Why? Because they are benefiting from massive amounts of fraud. I mean, we're just starting to uncover it. But all of this federal government money going to the states for disbursement, if it's going to a blue state like Minnesota or Illinois or California, it's going out in fraud. And basically, they're stealing the money of American taxpayers. Stephen Miller had a few words to say about this. Let's play clip 4.
What Democrats are doing is vote harvesting, fraud harvesting, ballot harvesting, crime harvesting. Ask yourself, why would Fry, why would Waltz sanction such egregious violence against ICE officers? Because they understand that this scheme, this mass migration scheme, is the heart of the Democratic Party's political power. It is their plan for power today and long into the future. So they know that if this administration of President Trump is successful in reversing this invasion, it will deal a generational blow to Democrat political power.
Well, before I let you go.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. It's exactly what's going on. This is a political power play, and they are worried that the fraud will be exposed. That's the entire motivation, in my view, of Governor Tim Walz, of Jacob Fry, and Keith Ellison in Minnesota. But it's not just Minnesota is not the only blue state with a crazy governor. Jelly Belly Pritzker, J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, has just signed this thing into law called the Clean Slate Act. Let's see what he's talking about there in the Clean Slate Act.
With the governor's signature, nearly 2.2 million people are now eligible to have their criminal records sealed in what it hopes opens up opportunities for those looking for a second chance.
It's official. The Clean Slate Act is law, which means law enforcement agencies are now required to automatically seal eligible criminal records every 6 months, and eliminating the need for individuals with prior convictions to navigate lengthy court procedures.
And this here is going to change my life completely.
Bernita Davenport McWhite says her criminal record has kept her from finding places to live, even though she's done her time.
I was able to find private landlord that was willing to sit down and have a conversation regarding my background to really get to know me.
Now she awaits getting her own record sealed as she continues to advocate for people like her, finding support from state leaders.
They deserve a track to run on. And the story of that humanity, the idea that people have to audition for their humanity has to stop.
The law does exclude convictions for sexual violence against minors, DUIs, reckless driving, cruelty to animals, and serious violent crimes, including anything that would qualify for sex offender registration. Still, the state believes the law will play a critical role in the economy.
This law will unlock $4.7 billion in lost wages. And this law reduces crime. Study after study tells us
I can't take any more. I mean, that was was that CNN, News Nation, one of those lefty outlet reports, maybe a local news report. This is not all what this is about. This is about covering up illegal aliens who've committed crimes so that they can't be identified to be deported. That's what it's about. And this so free of $4.7 billion in wages. He's just making that up out of thin air. Crazy. Well, we have a lot of crazy, and a lot of the crazy is in basically our public schools and our public school teachers. Here's an example of an anti-ICE teacher. Clip 7.
Hi, my name is Isa Obradovich, and on Tuesday, January 13th at around 11 in the morning, I was escorted out of my middle school art student teaching placement. I have a script that I'm going to be reading from because I want to be very careful with my words. On Tuesday, January 13th at around 11 in the morning, I was escorted out of my middle school art student teaching placement. I was informed that the district received several complaints from concerned parents about the video I posted the day before. In the video, I spoke about turning down a sponsorship from Wayfair as they sell beds to, quote, a government contractor furnishing a federal detention center for migrants near the U.S.-Mexico border, end quote. In this video, I said, fuck ICE, and at the end of the video, I put up my middle finger while saying that I believe that ICE agents certainly have chosen my words
Okay,
better.
so we can't... Teachers, mayors, they're all dropping F-bombs everywhere you are. It's just crazy. We've got to go. I mean, we screen these things, but they sneak them in because they're foul-mouthed and angry. Notice she was a student teacher And she thinks it's a good idea to do that as part of her student teaching assignment. How about learning how to teach? No, I don't want that person to learn how to teach. Okay, the ICE guys have a very different view. They have a logical view. Here's an ICE agent talking to a protester in Minneapolis.
So you're reporting, we're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, they're not. No, we're pressed. We're not
That
honking.
vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what they're doing. They're violating the First Amendment rights of normal citizens in order to protect illegal alien sex offenders. What is wrong with that picture? Well, we've got some more good news here in the arena of justice coming. John Solomon, the best investigative reporter in the country, has some inside scoop for us about what is going on and what we can expect to see from the Department of Justice with regards to the origin of this whole anti-Trump stuff, going back to the 2016 Obama years. Here we go. Here's John Solomon talking about this.
And I think next week, over the next 10 days, the base who's been wondering, where's all that accountability? They're going to get some big surprises over the next week concerning where the conspiracy began a few weeks before Crossfire Hurricane was open and when it ended, all the way in 2024, when they were still trying to pursue Donald Trump to keep him from winning the presidency. There's a big case that's been built by the Justice Department and the FBI. It's been masked by a lot of this infighting and drama and soap opera stuff. But the truth of the matter is, MAGA base Americans are going to be happy when they see where this is all heading in the next few weeks. Kash Patel is going nowhere. I hope Dan Bongino isn't going anywhere, but I do think he's going to take some time over the weekend to think that through.
Yeah, well, Dan Bongino is going someplace, did go someplace. That was a little bit older. But basically, the point on all that is that there is going to be prosecution of the Obama administration folks, as well as Department of Justice under Obama and Biden, for basically, trying to undermine the duly elected president of the United States. I got one other thing I want to talk about here today in this segment, which has to do with the future of the country and where the jobs are going to be. Have you ever heard, you've heard of Mike Rowe, right? Well, this guy has been talking about this for 2 decades, and now the chickens have come home to roost. Here's Mike Rowe talking about where you need to go to get a job these days. Clip 1, Mike Rowe.
We've been telling kids for 15 years to code. Learn to code, we said. Yeah, well, AI is coming for the coders. They're not coming for the welders. They're not coming for the plumbers. They're not coming for the steam fitters or the pipe fitters or the HVAC. They're not coming for the electricians. You know, that Ideas Festival I was telling you about in Aspen, I sat there and listened to Larry Fink say we need 500,000 electricians in the next couple of years. Not hyperbole. This is me being the alarmist again. There's not a week that goes by in my humble little foundation. It's called MicroWorks, shameless plug. We award work ethic scholarships every year, right, to kids who want to learn a skill that's in demand. These are trade school scholarships. Not a week goes by where I don't get a phone call from somebody like the Blue Forge Alliance, who oversees our maritime industrial base. That's 15,000 individual companies who are collectively charged with building and delivering 3 nuclear-powered subs to the Navy every year for 10 years, right? 2 Virginia, 1 Columbia class. Mind-bogglingly complicated. This guy calls and says, we're having a hell of a time finding tradespeople. Can you help? I said, I don't know, man. It's pretty skinny out there. How many do you need? He says 140,000. 140,000. Now, granted, over 7 years, but they need 80, 90,000 right now. These are our submarines, folks, right? Things go hypersonic, little sideways with China, Taiwan, whatever. Our aircraft carriers are no longer the point of the spear. They're vulnerable. Our submarines matter. And these guys, have a pinch point because they can't find welders and electricians to get them built. Where are they? They said. We've looked everywhere. Do you know? I said, yeah, I know where they are. They're in the 8th grade, man. They're in the 8th grade. And the same thing, the automotive industry needs 80,000 collision repair and technicians. Energy, I don't even know what the number is. I hear 300, I hear 500,000 everywhere. So, not to filibuster, but that's the underlying thing that I just really hope people take from this conference. There is a clear and present freak out going on right now. I've heard from 6 governors in the last 6 months. I've heard from the heads of major companies in the country. It's like a memo has gone out. And people are realizing, you know something? We need to tend to this.
Okay, so let me tell you what the future looks like, needs to look like for America. Number 1, teach kids to read, write, and do arithmetic and think. Number 2, teach them about the Constitution. Number 3, help them develop trade skills. And number 4, go out and get a job and have a family. There you go. That's the future of America. All right. We'll be back with News Potpourri after this.
Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. It's that time day again, folks. It's time for News Potpourri. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, News Potpourri. This is the portion of the program we talk about those stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, and may have a touch of irony. Well, here we go. An ER doctor was talking about the changes in the number of fentanyl overdoses he sees since the border has been shut down. Here we go. Let's see what he has to say.
I will tell you something that I haven't said publicly yet, and it deserves to be said. We were seeing 10 to 12 overdoses a day, and we are seeing maybe 1 or 2. Sometimes we go 3 days without seeing an overdose of fentanyl. So closing our borders and doing the things that he is doing, I am 100% behind. It really has made America better in the healthcare system, in the war against drugs.
Is it being replaced by any?
There you go. Okay, good point. Yeah. You shut down the border, got less fentanyl in. Here's a story for all you Ivy League haters. Yale has now achieved liberal academic nirvana. Guess how many Republicans they have on the faculty at Yale? That would be 0. People say, because, I'm an Ivy Leaguer, went to Harvard, and people say, oh, isn't that great? No, it's not. The Harvard I attended and graduated from in the 70s, it's gone. Right now, you have authoritarian DEI hell known as Harvard and all of the Ivy League. Do not send your child to an Ivy League college. They will be ruined forever. All right, we've got a non-Ivy Leaguer, Kristi Noem, former governor of South Dakota, took it to Margaret Brennan, CNN, Face the Nation. Barry Weiss has now claimed to be the big, open journalism head of CBS, but Face the Nation is still a disgrace. Here's an example. Kristi Noem took it to Margaret Brennan. Let's go.
What's the breakdown of the percentage of those who you have in custody who have actually committed a criminal offense versus just the civil infraction?
Every single individual has committed a crime, but 70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
But it's not 70%.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
70% of everyone
you guys keep changing your percentage. You pick and choose what numbers you think work, but that is the facts, is that 70% of the people that we have detained have charges against them or have been convicted of charges, and they need to be brought to justice. And we're going to keep doing that no matter how much you guys keep lying and don't tell the public the truth. It absolutely is that these law enforcement officers are out there every day doing the work to protect the American people, and they will keep doing that because they believe in enforcing the law, which is exactly what President Trump has charged them with.
Okay, so these regime outlets, talking heads, Margaret Brennan being, worse. Barry, please fire Margaret Brennan. I'm available. I'd do a much better job. But Barry, Barry is like, she's not returning our phone calls. I don't know why. Our first call was, they had this turncoat attorney who violated attorney-client privilege, Aris Raveni, who was complaining about Kim Abrego Garcia. Got it, almost all of it wrong. And did 13 minutes on 60 Minutes. Right after Barry Weiss took it over, we volunteered to fix it for her. I'm not interested. You could tell how Margaret Brennan starts with the wrong and false premise. She sets this question up. How many of them have actually committed crimes and not civil offenses? Okay, let's go to Immigration Law 101, Margaret. You got to know this. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're that, lazy. But the Immigration Naturalization Act of the 1920s makes it a misdemeanor crime to enter the United States illegally. It's been a misdemeanor crime for almost 100 years now. Okay, Margaret? It's not a civil offense. What you're just doing with that is you're taking the left-wing talking points and repeating it. It's false stuff. Okay, I got another story, a troublesome story, but an indication of the times. Have you followed this story about the Irish teacher, Enoch Burke, who was put in jail for over a year, 560 days, because he doesn't use the pronouns that are required by the school principals. He wouldn't call a male student they, as the school principal demanded. Basically, this is all transgender ideology. And they are putting this guy in jail in Ireland. They got a couple cops with him. This is a land of my heritage, Ireland. And the Ireland of 2020, well, my family's heritage, because it was my great-great-grandfather who came over from Ireland, County Tipperary, in the 1830s. So long time ago, right? Almost 2 centuries now, getting up on it. So we've got the Irish-American view of things, which is kind of what I have, Irish-American, Irish-Canadian, I guess, also. But the real Ireland has fallen because you don't have free speech there. This guy, this teacher, Enoch Burke, they are putting him in prison again after he served 560 days because he won't bow to the transgender ideology. He won't call a male student they. Well, it's he, him. It's not her. It's not they. Enoch, buddy, you're brave. Ireland is not the place for liberty and freedom of speech. The United States is. Tennessee is. All right, there you go. That's our show for today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock Central Time. I hope you have a great day. The website, TennesseeStar.com. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Thanks for joining us.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com. Listen to Michael Patrick Leahy and make America great again.
FlatFeeNashville.com is a full-service real estate brokerage that charges homeowners a upfront flat fee of $999 to completely list, market, and sell your home. We are all about saving consumers money, saving that equity. Nobody should hire an agent and feel like when that agent walks in the door, that agent is more concerned about the down payment on their next Mercedes purchase versus saving the equity that those homeowners have worked hard for. I've spent my entire career in ensuring that the equity that people save and they put into their monthly mortgage every single month, as much of that as we possibly can goes back to them when they go to list and sell that home. The idea is to give homeowners the ability to really create generational wealth.
FlatFeeNashville.com, FlatFeeNashville.com.